couldn't be with us tonight, but we appreciate those of you who could be here tonight. We are having an amazing start to the year. For my brand new families that weren't here for orientation, I'd like to introduce Dr. Courtney Moore from Pearson. She has been a huge help as we have kicked off this year. Our current enrollment, I checked 5 minutes before our presentation to make sure I had the most up-to-date numbers. We are currently at 64 students for the year for K through 12. The majority of our students are in middle and high school, but I am just thrilled with the students that we have. I have loved getting to know your families. And then from there, our emphasis this year is just like last year, we are going to continue to support you. We're going to continue to support your students. I want to take a moment to celebrate the fact that when we got back our TCAP data from last spring, our goal students grew a full year. They showed a full year's growth. So we were level 3 on our state testing, which is amazing because when you think about our goal students have been virtual in many cases since the spring of 2020. Many of our students have not returned to traditional school since the spring of 2020, so that we were able to show a year's growth in our very first year as a goal school. I am beyond excited. And then our goals for this year, we're going to keep on keeping on. Every school in the state of Tennessee creates a school improvement plan, and goal is no different. So I wanted to share with you the 3 goals that we have for this year. The first goal that we have is for every student who attends goal to either meet or exceed state expectations. On the TCAP, which we take every April, and on our case benchmarks, which we provide 3 times a year. So I look forward to monitoring our results and working with our students to see them grow. ACT, when you look at Houston High School, they had an overall ACT composite, if I can say it, of 24.3, which is wonderful. Our goal composite for last year was 23. And so it is our goal to meet or exceed the district average for the ACT. And then the next goal that we have, meeting the whole child needs of our students. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what we have in place this year to support our students. But when we think about goal, these are the 3 areas that we want to continue to grow and improve. And so when we're talking academics, we are thrilled to partner with Pearson Connexus Curriculum. Our teachers through Pearson are providing office hours. They provide feedback that is current and up to date. We have a live tutor feature so that our students have ample time to be able to reach out to get live tutor support in those core subject areas. And then if your student has ELL, IEP, or RTI or 504 needs, we are here to support you. And then in addition to that, we're also looking at that whole child, which goes back to social emotional. How are we meeting your child's social emotional needs? We have a morning meeting every morning. We have the opportunity to have, basically we have in-person events every month with a different emphasis. Next Thursday, you're going to have the opportunity to meet your child's learning coach, your Eagle Hour learning coach, and your students will have the chance to come and visit with each other. We will have 2 service projects this year, a weekly Eagle Hour opportunity, and the opportunity to have monthly speakers to talk about servant leadership with our students. We just had Mr. Manuel, our superintendent, talk to our students about opportunities. And in terms of parent involvement, we need you. I would say that you make a huge commitment when you're a part of Goal, because as a parent, you're the coach. You're helping your student have a daily schedule. You're setting up that quiet workspace at home. You are checking in with your students' progress in their grade book. We'll show you how. You have the opportunity to reach out to your students' teachers if you've got any questions. And then you are your child's encourager. So please encourage them to get involved and try new activities and come to our events when we offer them. And then your students are doing an amazing job. They're showing up for our morning meetings every morning and participating. They are part of our FaceTime Friday, which is so fun. They are completing their work and they are reaching out to their teachers if they have questions. So your students are already doing an amazing job. And then the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to pass it to Dr. Moore, and she is going to share a little bit more about the Pearson side of what we do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Fisher. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, let me stop sharing so you can.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, I can't see your face, so thank you so much. Like Dr. Fisher mentioned, I am so excited to talk about Pearson Connexus today. We have an easy-to-use online learning system with hundreds of different types of courses that are designed to meet your students where they are. We believe in individual attention for your student in a safe and secure learning environment in your home. And we believe in providing a ton of different resources for you as parents, as well as for your students as well. So over the last 20 years, we have had the opportunity to serve a variety of different students, including those that have been previously homeschooled, those that prefer home-based learning, or those that have a variety of different extracurricular or need more flexible scheduling options. So our learning model at Pearson is student-centered, which means that we prioritize your student at the center of all that we do. So in conjunction with our teachers, our caretakers, which are parents, guardians, those that are responsible for helping motivate your student day to day, as well as our curriculum, we believe that we have the mechanisms in place to help facilitate student success. So a daily schedule can look different, as Dr. Fisher mentioned, making sure that your student has a quiet place to work. However, I just wanted to talk briefly about what that can look like for the student, the learning coach, and teacher. So for grades K through 5, students can anticipate roughly anywhere from 4 to 5 hours of learning per day, with 50 to 60% of that day being online. Learning coaches, also called caretakers, are responsible for providing oversight daily, and this can look anywhere from 5 to 6 hours, give or take, just depending on your specific student. But it can include speaking with teachers, helping oversee with learning and lessons, and helping them stay motivated throughout their coursework. Now, for teachers in grades K through 5, your student will be assigned one primary teacher for the core subject areas. So as Dr. Fisher mentioned, we have a ton of different support opportunities available for students. We have our live synchronous classes, also called live lessons, that are offered once a week for core courses. We also have daily live literacy sessions for students in grades K through 2. So very excited, and an opportunity for them to continue to build upon their literacy. We also have homeroom huddle and dish, or drop in and say hi. These are offered Mondays and Fridays to help students build camaraderie with their classmates. We also have a ton of different teacher-initiated support opportunities. So if your student needed additional intervention support, your student's teacher will be able to initiate that. These are offered weekly and can help your student focus on a mastery of broader concepts. We have teacher time available, which is offered at a minimum of 3 hours per week for your student. They can drop in individually or work with small groups with their teacher. Now, if your student would like to work individually with their teacher, they are able to do that. They're able to make an appointment and have that one-on-one support. As mentioned, we do have Live Tutor available, which is a great resource for your students in the core content areas. These are tutors that are able to meet with your student, help them work through their coursework if they're stuck on a particular thing. Your student can also make reoccurring appointments with them if you want like a standing tutor. So it's a great opportunity for students to take advantage of this resource. And you can see we've got the hours of operations here as well. So as we think about how synchronous and asynchronous learning kind of wraps up for your student, for asynchronous or independent student time, for grades K through 2, students can anticipate 30 to 40 minutes per course per day. For grades 3 through 5, students can anticipate 40 to 60 minutes per course per day. Now, for face-to-face opportunities or there's those synchronous supports such as homeroom huddle or that teacher time, that can look around 8.5 hours per week for grades K through 5. So our curriculum is aligned to national and state standards. We believe in empowering students for life, and we recognize that our option is a great alternative to traditional or homeschooled options that are available. But we want students to be successful in whatever stage of their learning that they are in, and we foster the 4 C's of learning, including critical thinking and problem-solving skills, communication skills, creativity and innovation, and collaboration. So as mentioned, we have a ton of different courses for your students to participate in. We have language arts for every grade level, social studies, a wide variety of courses for your student to choose from. So definitely make sure to reach out to the Germantown team if there's like a specific course or anything as far as scheduling that your student is participating in. So here at Pearson, we believe in accessibility for all students, and that means that we want students to utilize our platform, feel confident regardless of their ability or disabilities. All of our content is WCAG 2.0 compliant, which means that our technology can provide equal opportunity to all students regardless of their disabilities. We've served students that have cognitive, delayed speech, mental disabilities, and we are proud to serve them. So now I want to transition over to our platform. And I wanted to take a look at the student view. So right now we are looking at an elementary student in our platform, Kiersey Anderson. And a couple of things to note as your student is getting logged in. So we have the tech support available here via this question mark. Your student is able to access this. You are able to access this in the observer role as well. So keep that in mind. A great resource for them to utilize that. We also have announcements here, and announcements are where your student will receive information, critical information that's going on, whether that's in their courses or within the district. If anyone wants to post that information on the district side, they're able to do so, but a great way for your student to stay in the know. Here in this dark blue ribbon, we have our course tiles link, which is right here. We have our to-do list, which is where your student can view their assignments and activities in a daily, weekly, or monthly format. And we have our activity stream, which is where your student can look at all of the work that they've completed in their courses in one tab. Here on the top left, we have the navigation bar, and this is where your student can access additional resources such as their digital notebook. They can also access their grades here. So I just wanted to show you what this view looks like. This is an overall view of all of a student's courses and the grades that are associated with those courses. So you are able to see grades for specific courses. However, this is a great snapshot to see how your student is doing in all of their courses. So it will show the subject, the score, the teacher, and the progress that's being made in that course. So a great way for your student to stay accountable. You are also able to see this in the observer view as well. Here is the announcements tab. We actually have 3 different ways that students can view announcements. We have webmail here, which is where students can receive information from their Pearson teachers. So a welcome letter that shows information for their contact, live lessons, any standards of learning that they plan on communicating with students. This is where that information will come from. And I recommend that students check this on a daily basis. We have the calendar view here, which is where students can view their assignments in a daily, weekly, or monthly format. We have live lessons, which is where students can participate in those synchronous learning opportunities, and a couple of different tools here. Check My Work, which is our anti-plagiarism tool in the platform, and our student activity tracker. So if we go back out here, I just wanted to show an example of a course tile. So here is the Language Arts 2A course. You're able to see the current score of the course as well as any progress being made. You can see the last activity that your student worked on via this play button here, as well as the grade book specifically for that course. So I just wanted to briefly show what an example of a course looks like. Students are able to see their progress being made here in the top right. We have the courses laid out in the order that we want them to be completed. So they're able to see the last activity they worked on as well as what's coming up in the queue. They can also see any completed activities via this green check mark here. We have the course backpack, which will show any course materials that are associated with the course. So most of our courses do have digitally embedded materials. However, if there are any physical materials associated with the course, those will be sent to you directly via the physical address we have on file. And we've worked with Dr. Fisher to make sure that we have all of that information. So I wanted to just briefly show an example of a course module. And let's do this one. Just so you can see an example of what that looks like. So this module has a video embedded with Lion the Learning Buddy. Your student's going to be practicing the short A and the short I sounds. Again, all of our content is WCAG 2.0 compliant, so we have a variety of different tools for your student to utilize here to help them digest the material. We can do translations, read aloud, masking. There's also activities that are included within the modules. Now, it just depends on the particular course or the subject, but this one, for example, has like a drag and drop feature. Your student's able to check, and then they can come back to their activity and mark it as complete. The last feature I wanted to show in the student view is the self-assessment tool. And this is where students can measure their understanding, interest, and effort levels that they're giving in their courses. So your student's able to kind of move these dots around, click update, and that information will go right to their teachers. Now, this is a great way for students and teachers to have data-informed conversations. Teachers know how your students are feeling. It also is a great way for students to stay accountable and kind of owning their learning. So I think it's a great way for students to continue to learn how to express how they're doing in their courses. So the next thing I wanted to go to is the observer view. And the observer view is used by parents, guardians, caretakers, learning coaches. It is one login for all students in the platform. So if we click on Keirsey here, we'll see that the view looks very similar to Keirsey's. And we did this because we want parents to be able to see what it is that your student is working on, as well as support them where exactly they are. So you're able to see their courses, how much progress they're being made in their that is being made in their courses. You can also see the grade book here, We have observer resources available. So these are knowledge-based articles that show tips and tricks and information to help you navigate Pearson Connexus as well. So I definitely recommend checking that out. And of course, we have tech support available too here in the observer view. So again, you are able to see all the courses that your students are enrolled in, where they are in their courses, their grades. Now, as observers, you're not able to change grades or complete coursework. So keep that in mind. But you are able to see everything that they're working on, as well as keep an eye out on how your student is doing in their coursework. So as I mentioned, we have a ton of different support opportunities for everyone, students, families. We have the orientation course available on the platform. This is where your student is going to, or if they haven't already, they have gone through orientation materials such as, going through the grade book, how to submit assignments, etc. This is available at all times. We also have tech support available too. So tech support is a great alternative if there's platform functionality issues or you're having trouble with the platform working itself. Please reach out to tech support. We also recommend reaching out to your students' teachers. They know a lot of great information about how your student specifically is doing in their courses and how you or your student can receive additional support. We have our Pearson Parent Power Hour, which I'm going to talk about next. And we have our Observer Resources portal, which I just showed in our Observer view. So our Pearson Parent Power Hours are webinar style events that I host throughout the school year. These are a great way for parents to stay in the know about how to utilize Pearson Connexus. I do more in-depth tutorials in the platform itself and show different features. So this is a great way for you to stay plugged in as parents and hopefully to feel more confident as you are navigating online learning with your students. So I know that was a lot of information. I just want to pause and say thank you so much. Dr. Fisher, I would love to move into our Q&A section. I think we had some questions.
Yes.
And let me go back to my browser so I can stop sharing my screen.
And at this point, we can do questions by unmuting. And then I would love to hear your questions, or if you're more comfortable, you are welcome to type in the chat box. But I would love to hear your questions. We have plenty of time before our next session begins. And again, I just want to say what a delight your children have been. Mr. Altimore, did you have a question?
I mean, sure. I'll just start it off.
Sure.
I know there's the daily requirement of 3.5 to 4 hours per day.
That's a minimum.
As a minimum. So they're not getting credit for the day if they are not actively logged on for 3.5 to 4 hours. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Where can I see that metric?
You're not able to see that metric. We run the report every day. We're able to run it through Pearson. If you ever have questions about how many minutes per day or hours per day your child is logging in, you are always welcome to check with Ms. Carnathan, our administrative assistant, and we can easily run those reports for you. But we worked with Pearson last year and again this year, and there isn't a way within Pearson to see on the parent end how often a student is logging in. What I always recommend to our families, you might set a timer in terms of, okay, I'm working and I'm going to start working at 8:30 and I am going to work until noon, take a lunch break, PE break, whatever, and then I'm going to finish my studies later in the afternoon. But that's always a good way to kind of gauge how your student is doing in terms of logging in.
Is the metric available to Chloe when she's online working? So, and the reason I'm asking is, let's say she blows through some of the coursework relatively quickly.
Right.
And as far as the requirements for the day, let's just say she finishes it in 3 hours and she logs off and says, I'm going to go play, I'm going to do PE, read a book, do whatever, and doesn't log back on for the day because she finished her coursework. She's going to get dinged for that day because she already knew it or she was quick or for whatever reason.
And she can also work ahead. Like what we always tell our students, especially at this point in the year, that there's plenty to do in terms of working ahead. You just don't want to lag behind.
Sure.
But I'm not aware of a metric within Pearson for the student or the parent to be able to see the minutes that have accumulated. I know that's something I've spoken with Pearson about. I know that's something that they're working toward, but we're not there yet.
So if there's if she is meeting the expectations for the coursework, but she is not meeting the recommended time limits, what are the ramifications of that?
Well, if it were a situation where she was truly, let's just say, logging in for an hour a day, and it's August 25th, I would tell her, hey, you know what, hon? You need to go work ahead for next week. And then if she's in a situation where she finishes a course early, we can get her in another course so we can accelerate her learning if we need to.
Okay.
So at this point in the semester, every student should be working at least the minimum. Now, when we get to December and the students are winding down and they have truly wrapped up their curriculum, that's a different story. But at this point in the 9 weeks or in the semester, all of the children have plenty to do. And
Okay.
then should they finish early in that coursework, I can get them in another class for acceleration. And then Ms. Altimore, I see you have a question.
Your microphone. There you go.
Yep.
Yes, there I am. Okay. My question is pertaining to the same thing. So PE, like for example, you said they can go do PE or whatever. But how is if she is to be doing PE and that's part of the 3.5, is that not part of the 3.5 hours or is that?
Well, when I said PE, I meant play outside, recess, take a break.
Sure, but I know PE is a mandatory
It
course
is.
and she
It
is
is.
supposed to be doing a certain number of hours of that
And that
per
would be part of that 3.5.
So,
And
but if
that's the
she's not,
minimum.
but she's not logged in for that hour or whatever she's doing PE.
And I can see that she's completed an assignment, and there are going to be days where students, and that's why we have a minimum of login time, because there are going to be assignments that the students are working on in their portfolio or in PE or in another subject where they're going to be working on their schoolwork, but they may not be working inside of Pearson.
Okay.
And that's why we give them room. It's like what Dr. Moore was just showing the students. In reality, the kids have 6 to 6.5 hours of instruction provided a day. And of that 6 to 6.5 hours of instruction provided a day, half of that time will be spent logged into Pearson, and we can see that. And then there are other things the kids are going to be doing, studying, reviewing, working on a portfolio, in which case they may not be working in Pearson, but they're still working. In fact, I had a question from a middle school parent at some point, and that was the question. And of course, if you're working on the portfolio, we can see that because it's due on September 1st and you've completed the assignment. So I can tell that you've completed that portfolio, and I can tell that you've been logged into Pearson on average a minimum of 3.5 hours per day. And we do. We look at, are the students keeping up with their pacing? Are they logging in? Are they taking advantage of retake opportunities? I mean, we are not looking to count a student absent, but we are looking to make sure that in good faith, we can count them present. I love these questions. Anyone else have questions? And I know it's a big learning curve, especially when this is new. And you're asking a lot of the questions that I would hear at the beginning of last year.
So I have a question about the retake opportunities.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the exact wording of how Pearson used it. There were like quiz checks, or it seems like they were kind of pop quizzes, but they weren't really called quizzes, more of a following how the students kind of progressing. And I think there was a few early on where there may have been a little learning curve of understanding what's what. And like Chloe, may have kind of bombed one or whatever. They can go back and take that again.
They just need to reach out to their teacher on any assignment. What I'm recommending to every student is that if you have got a grade in which you have gotten a D or an F, I am expecting every student to webmail their Pearson teacher and say, look, I would like to redo quiz check number 3 or the fractions test. And the teacher will give them the opportunity to do a retake, but the kids need to initiate that with the teacher. And if it's just a grade in general that they'd like the opportunity to bring up, they're welcome to. But at a minimum, if you have made a D or an F, I want you to go back. And that's another thing that I'm telling our students, because at this point, many of our students are keeping up with their daily assignments. And so I'm telling them to go back and look at their previous assignments. And if there's a grade that's in the red, talk to your teacher about that, go back and rework it, and let's see if we can bring that grade up.
Okay. Because, just from personal experience, I've had a hiccup or two on an online platform, and a quiz will pop up that you're not ready for because you hit the wrong button and you can't go back. And there's always been kind of a remedial way of getting a redo or something, but knowing that that's available is beneficial.
And I share that every morning. I do my little morning routine with all of our students, and that's one of my almost daily reminders. So they're hearing it.
And I did want to add as well that our teachers are pretty responsive as well on their end. And so if they are looking at their students in their class, and, they will also reach out to students too. If they're seeing, hey, this is maybe not like this student, or I could see this student needs additional support, they will also try to be as proactive as possible. But as Dr. Fisher mentioned, definitely having your student reach out to their teacher is the best first step to getting that process started, with whether that's retaking a quiz or assignment, portfolio, whatever it is.
And I think it's one of our best, it's one of the things that I really like best about Pearson.
All right. Well, I have another one if nobody else wants to chime in.
We've got a few more minutes before we have our next session. So absolutely.
So again, when I was kind of perusing the platform, it was hard for me to kind of quickly see what was due assignment wise, because the observer login, it kind of shows exactly what they do, all the videos and all the coursework. But kind of what I want to be able to do is quickly glance every day or so, or every couple of days. Okay, I know she has assignments X, Y, and Z, so I can kind of stay on top and be sure, are you working on X, Y, and Z? Is there an efficient way of doing that, so I'm not filtering through like the 20 files of information looking for like, okay, assignment due here, or
right? How can observers see the to-do list? Every student has a to-do list and a calendar where they can see for the semester what's coming their way. One way to do it is simply to look through your child's account and see their daily to-do list and work through it with that. Dr. Moore, through the observer, how can they see that to-do list for the
So it is, because the view looks nearly identical, in that dark blue ribbon, you'll see that tab that says to-do list. You'll also be able to see that calendar, and the calendar is great because you can dial it down to daily or weekly or monthly. So if you just wanted to focus on a day-by-day view, you can do that, and it will just show the assignments and activities for that day. It'll also show any live lessons that have been populated for that day too in the calendar. So it really just depends on your preference on how you would like to view that. I will say I like calendars, so that would be my preference, but I know that some people prefer to just see it in a list. But again, you have the option to do either one of those, and it's in that student, the observer view, and it looks identical to the student view.
So
But
it's
but
to do.
it's independent. So like if I like it in the calendar view and Chloe wants the daily view, she'll see the daily view on her account and I'll see the calendar view on my account.
Correct.
And sometimes the teacher will change the pacing. I know we had that happen this week, and it's just like in the classroom when I was a classroom teacher and I would plan lessons, and then based on how we were going through the material and based on how well the students were doing, I would either move at a faster pace or a slower pace. So it will not be uncommon to log into Pearson and see due dates change. And again, that's at the teacher's discretion. It doesn't happen frequently, but it does happen, and it's just the teacher's way of adjusting the pacing of the content. Any other questions? We've got about 5 minutes before I need to get to our next session.
Okay, I'll have one final one if no one's going to
Go for
answer. I think there was a question Chloe brought up. There were some questions about how time is noted on I guess it's the live streaming things.
The
Everything is
zone.
Eastern time zone.
Yes,
correct?
yes. Occasionally it will be central. It depends on where the teacher is based. And I know we went over that, but it may have been before you enrolled. But yes, for live lessons, it's going to be important to look at ET, PT, CT, teacher office hours, all of that. You'll just need to take note of the time zone for the meetings. That's a great question. Well, and please know, anytime you have any questions, I'm here for you. I consider time spent with parents and students an investment. So you just let me know anytime that we need to meet and discuss anything, because that's why I'm here. And I want y'all to have a wonderful, wonderful experience with GOAL. I really appreciate y'all coming tonight. I am going to stop recording. And thank